This is the usual crowd. Well, come. I mean, they're kind of lined up against the wall, maybe for obvious reasons, but it would be nice if there's a little bit, maybe on this wall, even. We can see you, it's like spraying like that. And again, if you want the wall, there's a wall here also. You can put the chair there. Or put a mat down and sit against the wall if you need the wall. How many of you are from Manchester? Born in Manchester? Born in Manchester? Born in Manchester? Good. Manchester born Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna. I first met the devotees in Manchester in 1971. I'd met them before, but I mean the first time I saw devotees in Manchester was in 1971. And it was in Market Street. Now it's the Arndale Centre. It was a market in those, in the basement. It used to go down into the basement, and there was a market there. And this devotee was stood right outside the entrance of the market. And he was talking to some people on the street, and I just stood there listening for a few minutes. But I wanted to speak to him, but he was so busy, and I had to go somewhere. I didn't talk to him, but I saw him there. Do you know who that devotee was? You got it. It was. How did you know? I told you before. Yeah, it was Mahavishnu Swami, if you know who that is. A very special devotee. So, just thank you for coming this evening. And on Sunday will be Rath Yatra in Manchester. Annual Rath Yatra. And this year we're back in Cathedral Square. And we'll be going down Dean's Gate and like that. So a little bit better parade route than the last few years probably. Krishna willing. So this evening I've been asked to speak a little bit about Rath Yatra. Krishna Pistaya Bhutane Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Nama Padaya Prastaya Bhutane Mate Bhakti Danta Swaminiti Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Devasesha Samyavaridi Pastyachare Satarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. I usually say on the black ones, I usually sing on the black ones, half. I don't know if you can do that now. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami, Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me. 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 Swami Nayana Patagami, Nayana Patagami. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami, Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Premanandi, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We're reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Wonderful literature describing the character of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates in their execution of pure love of God. So this section we're dealing with here is the ecstatic dancing of the Lord at Rath Yatra. Sajiyat Krishna Chaitanya Shri Vittagre Nanataya Yena Sis Jagatang Chitram Jagannato Vismitaha. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who danced in front of the car of Jagannath, be all glorified. By seeing his dancing, not only was the whole universe held in wonder, but Lord Jagannath himself became very much astonished. All glories to the listeners of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Please hear the description of the dancing of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at the Rath Yatra festival. His dancing is very enchanting. Please hear of it with great attention. How many of you have attended Rath Yatra before? Pretty much everyone. Maharaj, you've been to Rath Yatra. You can remember? I'm not sure. Can you remember? I think you have a lot of Rath Yatras in England. 30 something, I think. Mostly Parashuram's involvement, isn't it? He goes all over the UK doing Rath Yatra, right? Parashuram. Many countries. Tomorrow is Watford. The first Rath Yatra tomorrow in Watford. Then there'll be Manchester. I don't know what's next. But so many places all over the UK where Rath Yatra is now taking place. The first Rath Yatra, I think, I can't remember where it was the first in the north, but as far as I can remember, the first Rath Yatra in the north was in Bolton. And that was a long time ago, that was in the late 70s. I remember going for that one. And then we had one in Glasgow, about the same time. Those were the first two in the north, and later on other places. But they were the first ones in Bolton. I don't know if there's been another one in Bolton since then. But, that was probably late 70s. Other than that, in the UK, the only Rath Yatra was in London up to that point. And now you may be having 30 or more Rath Yatras. You have one in Aberystwyth, right? Aberystwyth, Cardiff, Glastonbury. These are Plymouth. I don't know, in Plymouth for a while. So many towns. Reading, Crawley, so many places. Brighton. Many in London. Southall, this place, that place. Borough. So many places in London. Leicester, Birmingham, so many cities, York, Leeds, so many places. It was wonderful because Srila Prabhupada writes, he says about the introduction of this Rath Yatra festival all over the world and book distribution. That the whole world will be basically conquered. How it's to be conquered is another thing. It may be not seen in the same. I really need some water. I'm so getting very dehydrated here. Maybe just check to see if I'm thinking. We may not see it in the same way. We hear from the Chaitanya Charitamrita how Lord Chaitanya delivered all the living entities back to Godhead at that time. Although physically we may not see anything taking place. It's a spiritual, you can say, maneuver by the supreme will of the Lord. It's like in 1974, I think, I can't remember exactly the date, I wasn't there, but we read about it, in San Francisco, when Srila Prabhupada was giving the lecture at the Rath Yatra Festival. San Francisco, by the way, was the first Rath Yatra in ISKCON, 1967. And at that time, the only deities in ISKCON were Jagannath. Prabhupada had his own little deities, but as far as there were only two centers in ISKCON in 1967, New York and San Francisco. And in New York, as far as I know, they didn't have any deities. Maybe Prabhupada's deities were there, I don't know. But in San Francisco, Prabhupada kind of installed Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. And then he said, no, you have to have Rath Yatra. So in 67, very, very first, before there was any proper temple or anything, Prabhupada started Rath Yatra. And in England, the first Rath Yatra, who knows when the first Rath Yatra was in England? 69, there was not even a temple. There was no temple in London at that time. Prabhupada had the Rath Yatra before there was even a temple. Of course, they had a place to stay. They were preaching, but it wasn't a temple per se. Thank you. And that was a famous Rath Yatra, as you may have heard. The chariot started at Marble Arch, and after about 50 meters, the wheels fell off. It caused the biggest traffic jam in London history. The parade went on without they carried the deities. They just carried them in their hands. But since then, Rath Yatra has been going on, although the venue in London has changed a few times, but otherwise it's been going on unbroken since 69. That's over 50 years, isn't it? 50 years. Last year was the 50th. Last year was the 50th because the first one's the first. So this year will be the 51st. I don't know about Manchester, how many years you've been having Rath Yatra. Pardon? Have you had 10 or even this will be the 11th?
I think we had 10 last year.
Not last year was the 10th. This will be the 11th this year. That's nice, keep it going. These Rath Yatra festivals are very special to Prabhupada. So. And anyone, Prabhupada said in San Francisco that year in 74 or whatever, that anyone who's seen Lord Jagannath on the Rath Yatra cart, this is there, you can read it. Prabhupada said anyone today, at least then he said, anyone who saw Lord Jagannath on the Rath Yatra cart is going back to Godhead in the next lifetime. Hare Krishna. So whether that means they have to take another birth and go back to Godhead, or this next means this lifetime's their last one, I don't know, but that's what he said. It's a very special fortune and a very important service to take Lord Jagannath on Rath Yatra festival, but to really, let's say, enter into the spirit. The spirit of Rath Yatra is not just another festival. It's not just the Hare Krishnas doing their annual parade. This is the festival of taking everyone back to Godhead. It's very special. Very, very special. It's been going on for thousands and thousands of years. Nobody seems to have an accurate figure of how long, but many thousands of years in India, that's for sure. This festival, and we're here just for a short time that we'll hear a little bit about it now. So I'm going to read, first of all, a little verse here, which is quite interesting. This is we're going back now 500 years or so to Jagannath Puri in India. And some of you have been there. Who's been to Jagannath Puri in India? Maharaj, you've been there? You've been there, Pranath Prabhu? You've also been. Anyone else been to Jagannath Puri in Oriya? It's an amazing festival there every year of Lord Jagannath. A massive festival, and nobody counts, but it's said to be in the millions number of people who attend the festival. Big Rath carts, big. The deity is very big also. Don't know how much he weighs. Half a ton, I'm not sure. Very heavy. And big chariots. And none of the modern mechanism is all done by pull and shove. So this is a description of the Rath car there 500 years ago. Everyone was astonished to see the decorations on the Rath car. The car appeared to be newly made of gold, and it was as high as Mount Sumeru. Mount Sumeru is a very high mountain. You may have heard of Heavenly Mountain. In the year, and Prabhupada writes here, in the purport, amazing, in the year 1973, there was a gorgeous Rath Yatra festival in London, England, and the car was brought to Trafalgar Square. So many of you know where Trafalgar Square is in London. Maybe all of you have been there. The London daily newspaper, The Guardian, is that still alive? The Guardian still alive? I think it is, isn't it? Newspaper. The Guardian newspaper published a front page caption where they said, ISKCON Ratha Yatra is a rival to the Nelson Column in Trafalgar Square. A rival to Nelson's Column. And you know, Nelson's Column, Prabhupada said, is a very impressive statue of Lord Nelson and can be seen from a good distance. You know, that tall statue of his. He's standing up there with the pigeons on his head. And he's looking south towards France. It's kind of various reasons. Just as the residents of Puri compared the Rath Yatra cart to Mount Sumeru, the residents of London consider the car festival a rival to Nelson Monument. And Prabhupada takes it like that. Like, he gives credit to the entire residents of London. Because in the newspaper it made this statement. And of course it was heard all over the news. This Grand Rath Yatra in 1970. It was a very grand Rath Yatra. I won't get into the details. Then there's a beautiful description of how gorgeous the chariot was decorated. The canopy, the bells, the chamaras, so many wonderful colors to make the cart very, very beautiful, very attractive. Just like we decorate the Lord. They're decorating the chariot of the Lord. So for 15 days before this festival, there's a Hare Krishna. For 15 days before the Rath Yatra festival, there's a period called Anavasara. And during this Anavasara period, the Lord is in seclusion. And we don't here have deities. Where is Jagannath coming from on Sunday? Where does he come from? Is it? Does anyone know exactly which Jagannath comes on the chariot in Manchester? Where is he coming from? Birmingham or London? Birmingham. Yeah, because they have Utsav deities in Birmingham. To bring the deities from London would be a bit difficult because they're not Utsav deities, they're worshipable deities. They generally don't leave London, generally. But the Utsav deities in Birmingham, they travel. But I don't know, they have a big festival in Birmingham. Well, that's tomorrow, I think. Yeah, tomorrow, big festival in Birmingham. So maybe from Birmingham they'll be coming, yeah. Sounds likely. So that'll be nice. No, he comes up, but the deities are different. He brings a chariot, small chariot. So whatever, Lord Jagannath normally before the Rath Yatra goes into seclusion for 15 days, and he spends those 15 days with the goddess of fortune in seclusion, his consort. Because in Puri, those who've been to the big temple, perhaps you've been inside, we haven't been inside, but there is known as Sri Kshetra, and that Sri Kshetra, that temple, generally speaking, is understood to be, and again it depends on the devotee also, the Lord reciprocates, but generally it's understood that was representing Dwarka, the mood of Dwarka, slightly reverential mood of Dwarka. And the Rath Yatra festival, which takes place annually, is a festival which really commemorates the Lord's returning to Vrindavan. Although he never leaves Vrindavan, he appears to leave Vrindavan. So the gopis and the residents of Vrindavan are always pining for the Lord to please return. But he resides in Dwarka with his queens, who are also goddesses of fortune. And he appears not to return to Vrindavan, from the point of view of the residents of Vrindavan anyway. So this festival represents the Lord going back to Vrindavan, and of course the Lord, when he was living in Dwarka, he at one point of time when there was a solar eclipse, they went to Kurukshetra, which is in the north of India also. Many people go to holy places on eclipses. So the residents of Dwarka, including Krishna and his queens, they went to Kurukshetra. And the residents of Vrindavan also went there, some form or another. And they met there in Kurukshetra. And there, especially the gopis, were pining like anything for the Lord. We'll hear that in a minute. For him to come back to Vrindavan. It's just not the same. It's just not the same. The mood is not the same in Kurukshetra or Dwarka as it is in Vrindavan. That sweet mood of Vrindavan. So the Rath Yatra festival is basically the devotees, Radharani and the devotees, pulling Krishna back, bringing him back to Vrindavan. So when we take part in the Rath Yatra festival, pulling the ropes and chanting and dancing like that, this is the fulfilling the will of Radharani. Rath Yatra festival is therefore practically the most important festival that exists, because it's the festival which fully fulfills the will of Radharani, her desire to see Krishna back in Vrindavan. So in Puri, the Rath Yatra cart goes from Sri Kshetra, which represents Dwarka, to the Gundicha Mandir, which represents Vrindavan. Said to be non-different than Vrindavan. It's not a very long parade, maybe 2 miles, but it goes very, very slowly because the chariot has just big wooden wheels, solid wood, and there's no, it's all pull and shove. It's not like there's somebody there with guiding it. There's nobody making it go faster. The chariot goes on its own will, according to the will of the Lord. Sometimes it stops for hours without moving. Or it just suddenly goes off in a certain direction towards the side of the road. The road is very wide, it's a few hundred meters wide in places. But it just goes off and no one can bring it back for quite some time. They have to remove, sometimes they have to take down all the telegraph poles and the electricity poles and so many things. All have to be removed from the road to allow Lord Jagannath's cart to move forward, because it goes off in the wrong angle. Of course, they won't do that in Manchester. They'll remove us. Suddenly the chariot starts going off in a different direction and towards the tram lines or the tram, whatever it is. They'll remove us. They won't remove the tram lines or the electric wires above or whatever it is. But in Puri they do, because Krishna is the Lord, he's the Jagannath, he's the Lord of the universe in that form. And he's certainly the Lord of Puri, and everyone, even the Muslims and everybody comes there for this festival. It's like unavoidable. It's the festival. And on the day of Rath Yatra, they have this festival in the morning, Pandavajai festival. The Lord comes out of seclusion. The day before they clean the temple, the Gandicha temple. In the morning they have this festival. Normally the Lord comes out and there's a special festival in seclusion, still more or less just with the priests. And then the Lord comes out of the temple. Well, the king of Puri, which is in the mood, this is our opportunity to fulfill the will of Radharani. Just like in the 1973 Rath Yatra, Srila Prabhupada was dancing more or less the whole way, and nobody could interfere with his relationship with Lord Chaitanya and Lord Jagannath. He was oblivious practically to everything and anybody around him, as he was dancing in ecstasy the whole way. Because he was absorbed in this mood, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of bringing Krishna back to Vrindavan. And that's what it's all about. We're not saying that the cathedral square is Vrindavan or Dwarka, but it becomes like that on Rath Yatra festival, if we're in that mood. And we may not be in that mood, but at least we can assist those who are in that mood by making the festival a really grand success as much as we can, by absorbing ourselves in their particular services and not spacing out, as often is the case. So Lord Chaitanya then, when the Rath Yatra festival began, it's interesting to note that before the Rath Yatra began, the actual parade, Lord Chaitanya organized 4 Sankirtan parties to dance around Lord Jagannath's cart. And there were 3 other parties also organized. So there's 7 parties with drums, 2 drums, and I think 6 cartels in each party. They didn't have harmoniums or djembe's in those days, no accordions or anything else. They just had cartels and mridanga. 2 mridangas, 6 cartels. And Lord Chaitanya personally chose all the devotees. He chose who would be the lead singer, who would be the responsive singers, who would be the kirtan, the dancers, the mridanga players, this, the that. Everything was chosen perfectly. It's not just a free for all, let rip, some kind of, jungle dance or something. Whatever is banging away, you can't hear the holy name most of the time. You get some people who just like to make so much noise when they're djembe's, you can't hear nothing except a boom, tip, boom, 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 boom. And that's not Rath Yatra. The essence of that is the mood. The mood is to be created exactly to draw the Lord back to Vrindavan. It's not just a show. It's not just, musical rendition. It's actually, the whole mood is to bring Lord Chaitanya, Lord Jagannath back to Vrindavan. So Lord Chaitanya would choose the singer who would sing in the right mood, exactly the right spirit, in order to evoke the particular mood or the relationship between Lord Chaitanya and Lord Jagannath. Lord Chaitanya is Radharani and Lord Jagannath is Krishna. So to whatever mood they're in, the singer would sing accordingly, or they would sing in a particular mood to evoke a particular meter rather, to evoke the mood, whichever it was. But it was very, very deep. Very deep. So it was very careful. I mean, one party, Srup Damodar would sing. Srup Damodar was the closest associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he knew exactly the heart of Lord Chaitanya. And he was, more than anyone, knew the purpose of his festival. So he would be in one party singing, another party Srivas Thakur, like this, Govinda Ghosh. Different great personalities would be singing, lead singers in different parties, and then lead dancers. The dancer was chosen, the main dancer, specifically, who wasn't putting on a show or just letting off their passion, but they were actually dancing according to the mood also. So in one party Nityananda would dance, another party Advaitacharya. Advaitacharya was about 80 years old at the time. And another party Haridas Thakur and Pakreshwar Pandit. Different devotees would dance in different parties, and so on and so forth. And before the Rath Yatra started, Lord Chaitanya chanted some verses. I can't do those verses, didn't prepare properly. But he chanted verses like Naham Vipo Chanarapati Napi Vaishol Shuro Naham Vanena Chivipati No Vanasto Yativa. Many verses he chanted before Lord Jagannath's Rath car began worshipping the Lord. And they're written here in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I don't think I've marked it. Let me just see if I've marked it. I don't think I have. Anyway, he chanted many, many verses. And then the Rath Yatra parade began. And as the parade proceeded, there were 7 parties. The king was at a distance washing. He was with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Harishchandra, and some of his servants. Sarvabhauma was his priest, one of his priests. He was chief priest of Puri. So they were watching, and suddenly King Prataparudra saw in each of the 7 parties, he was up on a little distant height, he could see that Lord Chaitanya was in each of the parties simultaneously. He thought he was going mad. What's going on here? I'm seeing Lord Chaitanya in all 7 parties at once, from a distance. And he said this to Sarvabhauma. He said, no, you are receiving this Lord's special mercy. Only you and a few others are seeing this. The Lord Chaitanya has expanded himself just like he does in the Rasa Leela dance. So he's in each and every party with all the devotees. Every party thinks that Lord Chaitanya is dancing in my party alone. But he was in each and every party with every devotee simultaneously. The special mercy which King Prataparudra received him. And then they carried on. At one point in time, the king was forming with his servants various circles around the Lord to protect him. He was in the outer circle with his servants, protecting the Lord from a massive crowd trying to come close. And somehow or another, Lord Chaitanya was dancing like crazy. Now, perhaps we could find that, the Lord's dancing. I did mark it. The markers are still in the book. Where is that section? Here it is. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced and jumped high, 8 wonderful transformations indicative of divine ecstasy were seen on his body. All these symptoms were visible simultaneously. His skin erupted with goose pimples, and the hairs on his body stood on end. His body resembled a shimuli silk cotton tree, all covered with thorns. Indeed, the people became afraid just to see his teeth chatter, and they even thought that his teeth would fall out. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's whole body flowed with perspiration and at the same time oozed blood. He made the sounds jaja gaga in a voice choked with ecstasy. Tears came forcefully from the eyes of the Lord, as if from a syringe, and all the people around him surrounding him became wet. It said that there was this shooting out, the tears were shooting out of his eyes and spraying everybody all around, and everyone was being sprayed by prema. Those were tears of prema, and they were being showered with prema. Everyone was being immersed in ecstatic love. Everyone saw the complexion of his body change from white to pink, so that his luster resembled that of a malika flower. Sometimes he appeared stunned, sometimes he rolled on the ground, sometimes his legs and hands became as hard as dry wood, and he did not move. When the Lord fell on the ground, sometimes his breathing almost stopped. When the devotees saw this, their lives also became very feeble. Water flowed from his eyes and sometimes through his nostrils. Foam fell from his mouth. These flowings appeared to be the torrents of nectar descending from the moon. The foam which fell from the mouth of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was taken and drunk by Shubhananda because he was very fortunate and expert in relishing the mallow of ecstatic love of Krishna. After performing his devastating dance for some time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mind entered into a mood of ecstatic love. After abandoning the dancing, the Lord ordered Srup Damodar to sing. Understanding his mind, Srup Damodar began to sing as follows. So then Srup Damodar began singing these songs which just evoked the exact emotions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his mood of wanting to bring Krishna back to Vrindavan. And the whole chariot stopped when Srup Damodar started singing. It was he stopped because of the dancing. Lord Jagannath couldn't move. He was enthralled by the dancing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then Srup Damodar began singing. This is one of the famous verses. Yakum haraso eva hivaraste eva chaituchupas. And I won't read it all. That very personality who stole away my heart during my youth is now again my master. These are the same moonlit nights of the month of Chaitra. The same fragrance of malati flowers is there, and the same sweet breezes are blowing from the Kadamba forest. In our intimate relationship I am also the same lover, yet still my mind is not happy here. I am eager to go back to that place on the bank of the Reva under the Vetasi tree. That is my desire. Another name for the Yamuna. And this is Radharani. This is a prayer of Radharani to Krishna in Kurukshetra. I know you're Krishna, I'm Radha, but it's not the same. The mood isn't the same. It's just not the same. The emotional interaction is like when a lover meets her beloved, and then, say for instance, a high court judge or something, she meets him in the high court. It's just not the same. It's the same persons, but the mood is very different. That intimacy is missing. She wants her husband to come home, although he's performing, you could say, very important services there in the high court or whatever it is. But she wants him home. So this is the mood. Whatever we may be, even in Vaikuntha, that mood is not the same. The goddess of fortune was in seclusion with the Lord in Sri Kshetra for 15 days, but she couldn't really go. She couldn't go with the Lord to Vrindavan. She doesn't have the same mood. Her mood is reverential. So in Vrindavan is a very special, very intimate mood of loving reciprocation, which is being made available by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to every living entity to take part in this Rath Yatra festival. So King Prataparudra, he teaches us how we can really enter into this Rath Yatra mood. And how is, at one point of time when Lord Chaitanya was dancing like a madman in ecstasy, and Srup Damodar may have been singing or whatever, but he was dancing in ecstasy, and suddenly the Lord crashed to the ground, and everyone was stunned. At that time neither Govinda nor Nityananda were nearby, his servant was Govinda, and Nityananda was also not around, they were somewhere else. And the king, taking his opportunity, he burst through the crowd and went and picked Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with his own arms. He picked him up. And Lord Chaitanya came to external consciousness in a great state of shock when he saw that he was being held by a king. He cast him off. Oh, how unfortunate I am. I have been touched by a king. And the king was shocked. He keeled back, thinking, oh no, now I'm finished. No, but he wasn't. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya assured him, no, you have received the Lord's mercy, don't worry. You have received his mercy. Although he's rejecting you, he's actually accepted you in his heart. He's just teaching a lesson. So the Rath Yatra festival carried on until it came to a place called Balagandi. Balagandi is maybe a third of the way on the parade. And there usually Lord Jagannath's chariot stops. And that's where they make the massive offering of Bhoga. The Bhoga offering goes on. Hundreds and thousands of preparations are offered. People all over the place bring offerings. Anybody brings, of course, appropriate offerings. Everyone brings their offerings, no matter who they are. There's not, oh, you're not a Brahmin. Forget it. Everyone brings their offerings, and they're placed in front of Lord Jagannath. On the road, they're all over the road. And Lord Jagannath, they stay there for a long time as the Lord enjoys a mega feast. And in the meantime, Lord Chaitanya and his associates take a break from the dancing. They enter into a nearby garden and they take rest. So at that point, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya told King Prataparudra, now is your chance. And he told him what to do. Told him, take off your kingly dress, put on the simple dress of a mendicant, of a simple renunciate. Now what this means is not a question of dress, it's a question of heart. Take off that false identification of thinking I am this and I am that. We have to, this is the real block, it's not our, whatever it is, externals. It's the internals, it's the internal thinking of identification with a false part. We've forgotten our part. We think we're somebody this or that. Take that off, shed off that body. Take on a humble body, a submissive consciousness, you could say. enter into that forest or that garden, approach the devotees, beg their permission, which he did. He entered there in a simple dress of an ordinary renunciate, and he begged the devotees for permission that he could please massage the Lord's lotus feet and legs. The devotees granted their permission. King Prataparudra approached Lord Chaitanya, who was resting on a plinth, and he started to massage his legs and feet. He was an expert masseuse. Massaging the Lord doesn't necessarily mean physically massaging the Lord either. It means basically relieving his distress. That means preaching Krishna consciousness. So King Prataparudra began to massage the Lord's legs, and at the same time he was singing what's called the Gopi Gita. From the Bhagavatam, the verse is sung by the gopis in separation from Krishna. Jayati Tedikam, he was singing, beginning this verse, and then immediately Lord Chaitanya arose. He came out of his slumber. Oh, who is singing? Carry on, carry on. And then King Prataparudra, we didn't even know who he was, carried on singing. And the Lord Chaitanya was in ecstasy hearing these verses. And then finally he came to the verse, Tavakutam tam tapta jivanam kapivirijitam kalmashabam Shravanamangalam Shrimaratatam Bhuti Buridajaham. At that point Lord Chaitanya jumped up, embraced the king to his chest and started dancing with him like anything, singing the verse over and over and over again. Who are you? You have brought me jewels. There's no way that I can repay you for the jewels that you've given me. He was going on and on like this, glorifying this personality who was not Lord was a bit aware of everything, but he was appearing as if he didn't know who he was. And they're dancing and singing this verse, glorifying those devotees who spread the glorification of Krishna far and near. Because this is the only way that one can become relieved of the distress of material existence. And they went on and on like this, and eventually the king said, I am the lowest of your servants, my Lord. I am the lowest. And then the Lord blessed him with all of his mercy. And then they returned to the Rath Yatra festival. So in this way, King Prataparudra got the full mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by his humility, his menial service, his eagerness, his willingness to serve the devotees, to facilitate the devotees. And every way he showed the example of how to get the mercy of Chaitanya's tolerance, the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, which is really what Rath Yatra is all about. And how we get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya is to assist in this Rath Yatra festival, to bring Krishna back to Vrindavan for the pleasure of Radharani. This is Rath Yatra. And whether we're in Manchester, Birmingham, London, or wherever it may be, the principle is the same. So Srila Prabhupada has given this opportunity to billions of people all over the world to take part in this festival. So let us give a chance to the people of the Mancunians of Manchester to be a part of this great festival. And the more we're a part of it, the more it will help others to feel a part also. Shri Jagannath Rath Yatra Ki Jai. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi. So we finished bang on time, isn't that amazing? We haven't finished. We haven't started much of it, but we're going to finish there. So any questions? How many Rath Yatras take place in ISKCON every year? All over the world, how many? Quite a lot. There's over 700. I don't know if anyone really has a proper count. I mean, in places like England is over 30, Malaysia is over 30, Delhi is 30 alone. And Indonesia, dozens and dozens, Muslim countries also have Rath Yatras going on. Everywhere practically. Rath Yatra taking place now. Even in Muslim countries in the Middle East there's some Rath Yatras. Maybe a little bit, you can say, behind the scenes in halls or whatever, but there was a Rath Yatra, Lord Jagannath's going on parades, and all the residents get benefited of those towns or cities.
Pakistan.
Basra?
Pakistan as well, yes. Karachi. In Pakistan, Karachi as well, they have the Rath
Karachi
Yatras.
they have, yeah. In Karachi, in Dubai, in what's the capital of Iraq?
Baghdad.
Baghdad. They had Rath Yatra in Baghdad. Secret. It was held in Baghdad, but it wasn't in Baghdad city, it was in Baghdad.
Surroundings.
Surroundings. So they get the benefit too. It was in the American army camp, but still it was in Baghdad. And in Dubai it's in some kind of stadium or something. It's going on. And more and more it goes on, the more the world is... This is how the world's going on. I mean, God knows, I don't think it would be in one piece if it wasn't for the Rath Yatra festival and the Harinams. There's so many sinful activities going on, it's almost immeasurable. This Rath Yatra festival is so wonderful. Take advantage of it. Special mercy. Actually, Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya, and Governor. Okay, Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Jagannath Rath Yatra ki jai. Go Prem. Don't worry. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So tomorrow is Harinam in the morning. Is that right?
Yeah,
What time?
12:30, isn't it?
not sure.
Not sure.
They are announced, I think.
No,
No, not tomorrow.
no.
It's first and third.
Yeah, it's
It's
fourth.
fourth.
Yeah.
What is that? No Mangalati, no, we don't have Mangalati. Pardon? Monday is Mangalati, isn't it? You only have it once every now and again.
We do twice a month.
Yeah.
Maharaj, we do twice a month. First and third Saturday of the month.
Huh?
First and third Saturday of the month.
First and third day of the month.
Third Saturday.
Between 11 and 12.
Huh? My ear has gone all over the place, I can't read.
Between 11 and 12.
Between 11 and 12.
Yeah.
You mean the Rath the Kirtan? Or we're
Harinam.
starting?
Harinam.
Starting.
Harina.
Starting between 11 and 12.
Yeah.
Okay, somewhere starting. So I don't know where we're starting, but we're starting. Tomorrow, so come along. Harinam Sankirtan. And Monday morning, for some reason, I don't know why, but there's a Mangalarti Monday morning. Is that right? Did I get that right? Pardon? I'm confused, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, last afterwards, somebody said Mangalarti Monday. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Rath Yatra festival ki jai, Go Premanande. The Prashadam time now? 8:30. Hare Krishna. Jai Panchatattva Jai Radha. These two books came from the library upstairs. We can take them back. Hare Krishna.
Prasadam prayer. Prasadam prayer.
Okay.
The prasadam prayers.
Yeah, go ahead.